And for this purpose, may I request the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill.
Any objection? Hearing none, the Secretary General is hereby directed to read the title of House Bill 22 as contained in Committee Report 24.
House Bill number 22, an act providing for cheaper and more accessible internet for all.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to open the period of sponsorship and debate, and that the chairperson of the Committee on Information and Communications Technology, the Honorable Representative Miguel Luis R. Villafuerte, be recognized to begin sponsorship of the measure.
There is a motion to open the period of sponsorship, debate, and interpellation on House Bill 22. Any objection? Hearing none, the period of sponsorship, debate, and interpellation is hereby opened, and for this purpose, the Honorable Miguel Luis Villafuerte is recognized to sponsor said measure.
Maraming salamat po muli, Mr. Speaker, at aking mga minamahal na kasamahan dito po sa 20th Congress. We live in a time where internet connectivity is a must. Kung walang maaasahang internet, napag-iiwanan ng ating mga mag-aaral, nahihirapan ng mga manggagawa at nababawasan ng oportunidad para sa maliit na negosyo. Nakita po natin ito ng malinaw noong panahon ng pandemya, kung kailan ang edukasyon, trabaho at serbisyong pampubliko ay halos umasa sa internet. Ngunit hanggang ngayon, milyon-milyong Pilipino pa rin ang nagsasabing sana all may internet. Mr. Speaker, kaya inihaharap po natin ang House Bill number 22 o ang Sana All May Internet Act. Ang panukalang batas na ito ay may simple ngunit makabuluhang layunin. Pababain ang gastos sa internet sa pamamagitan ng pagtanggal ng Spectrum User Fee o SUF sa Wi-Fi. Sa kasalukuyan po, sinisingil pa rin ng pamahalaan ang mga telco at internet providers ng Spectrum User Fees para sa Wi-Fi. Kaya pa ang Wi-Fi gumagamit ng open at unprotected frequencies. Sa buong mundo, ang Wi-Fi ay license-free. Ngunit dito sa atin, pinapatawan pa rin ng bayarin. Ito ay pinapasa sa taong bayan sa anyo ng mahal at mabagal na internet. Mr. Speaker, malinaw ang epekto nito. Mataas ang gastos ng providers, kaunti ang pumapasok na bagong players, at limitado ang internet, lalo na sa mga liblib at mahihirap na lugar. Sa ilalim ng panukalang ito, itinatakda natin ang zero spectrum user fee para sa Wi-Fi. Hindi po ito subsidy, hindi po ito bagong gastos ng gobyerno. Ito ay pagtanggal lamang ng isang hindi kinakailangang bayarin. Sa pamamagitan nito, hinihikayat natin ang mas maraming Wi-Fi infrastructure, mas matinding kompetisyon, at mas abot-kayang internet para sa karaniwang Pilipino. Mahalagang idiin, Mr. Speaker, na hindi natin inaalis ang kapangyarihan ng NTC. Nananatili po ang kanilang regulasyon, ang teknikal na pamantayan, at ang proteksyon laban sa interference. Ang tinatanggal lamang po natin ay ang bayad, hindi ang pamamahala. Higit sa lahat, ang panukalang ito ay para sa mahihirap at napag-iiwanan, para sa estudyanteng kailangan mag-online class, para sa magsasakang gustong magbenta online, para sa maliliit na internet service providers na gustong maghatid ng internet sa mga lugar na matagal nang walang koneksyon tulad ng mga costales at mountain sectors. Mr. Speaker, ang tanong po ay simple. Kung ang Wi-Fi ay bukas at hindi eksklusibo, bakit natin ito pinapatawan ng bayarin na nagpapamahal sa internet? Ang House Bill number 22 ay isang hakbang tungo sa mas eksklusibong digital na kinabukasan. Isang hakbang para masabi ng bawat Pilipino na hindi na sana kung hindi may internet na. Dahil dito, buong paggalang ko pong hinihiling ang suporta ng aking mga kasamahan sa panukalang batas na ito. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the gentleman from the Party List Act Teachers, the Honorable Antonio L. Tino, to interpellate the sponsor.
The Honorable Tino is recognized.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So again, just some clarificatory questions on this. Of course, sang-ayon tayo sa layunin na mapababa overall ang cost of internet access sa ating bansa. So, ang pinakalayunin nito ay tanggalin na yung spectrum user fees, particularly just for these Wi-Fi bands, yung 2.4 gigahertz at saka yung 5 gigahertz spectrum, na yun yung mga ginagamit ng Wi-Fi networks in particular. Pero alam din kasi natin na yung spectrum user fees, yun ang, ayon naman sa free Wi-Fi law, yun din ang pagkukunan ng pondo daw para pondohan yung free Wi-Fi services to be provided by government. Na kulang din naman. Gusto lang po natin malaman how much income is actually will government actually forgo by taking away the spectrum user fees from the Wi-Fi frequencies. Magkano po?
Mr. Speaker, ang kabuoang revenue galing sa spectrum users fee ng Philippine government is, when it comes to Wi-Fi na tinutumbok ng House Bill na to, is only 0.01% of the whole SUF revenue. Yung over 99% ay mula sa telcos na kung saan license, exclusive, at hindi po siya open, license po siya. So pagdating po sa House Bill na to, tinutumbakan po natin yung sa Wi-Fi na basado sa data, basado sa NTC, every year, 0.01% sa ating revenue na nakokolekta.
So,
sa akin pong personal na opinion, Mr. Speaker, this is minimal because ang resulta nito, mas konektadong bansa.
yes.
Ang resulta nito, mas maraming digital jobs na makikreate. E-commerce sa ating bansa, mabubuhay. At we are expecting additional tax revenues from this.
So thank you, Madam Speaker. So 0.01% ng total spectrum user fees collected from the telcos yung maapektuhan pagka in-exempt na natin yung Wi-Fi frequency. So in other words, yung bulto ng spectrum user fees are charged from the telcos using yung mga cellular bands, 5G, 4G, maybe even 3G and 2G spectrum. Ganon, no? Naintindihan po natin yon. Meron po ba tayong peso figure, amount, na baka for the record, mailagay lang natin para malinaw kung magkano yung possible foregone revenue by passing this bill?
Mr. Speaker, based on the NTC's records, I'm not sure if it's 2023 or 2024, 5 billion po ang kabuoang revenue mula sa
Okay.
SUF. So 0.01 of that is 5 million from
Okay.
that year.
So 5 million.
5
Okay.
million.
So it's in that ballpark. So 5 million, negligible po. And it also shows, kasi yung free Wi-Fi law natin ay supposedly to be funded from spectrum user fees. Magiging maliit lang yung impact, if ever, no, sa bawas nito, dun sa 5 billion na yun. So yun lang po naman ang clarification na gusto nating marinig from the sponsor. Maraming salamat po, Madam Speaker at Ginoong Sponsor. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Speaker. And to add to that, this is part of the international best practice po muli. Ang mga kapitbahay natin dito po sa Asia, tulad ng South Korea, Singapore, Indonesia, libre na po ang kanilang SUF pagdating sa Wi-Fi.
Thank you. Salamat po.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no other member who wishes to interpolate the sponsor, I move to close the period of sponsorship and debate.
There's a motion to terminate the period of sponsorship, debate, and interpellation. Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to open the period of amendments.
An objection? Hearing none, the period of amendments is hereby opened. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no committee, no nor individual amendments, I move to close the period of amendment.
Any objection? Hearing none, the period of amendments is hereby closed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to vote on second reading House Bill number 22.
There's a motion to approve on second reading House Bill 22 as contained in Committee Report 24. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those who are not in favor say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 22 is approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to suspend session for a few minutes.
Session suspended. Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, under the calendar of business, I move to consider House Resolution number 523 as contained in Committee Report number 25. And for this purpose, may I request the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the said resolution.
Any objection? Hearing none, the Secretary General is directed to read the title of House Resolution 523.
House Resolution 523. Resolution congratulating and commending the members of the Philippine Pickleball team for winning medals in the 2025 World Pickleball Championships Asia Grand Slam held in the cities of Hebei and Baoding, province of Henan, China, from June 13 to 22, 2025.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to adopt House Resolution 523.
There's a motion to adopt House Resolution 523. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those who are not in favor say nay. The ayes have it. House Resolution 523 is hereby adopted. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to consider House Resolution number 532 as contained in Committee Report number 29.
Any objection? Hearing none, the Secretary General is hereby directed to read the title of House Resolution 532.
House Resolution 532, resolution congratulating and commending Aquilas Maximus Cristobal of Operation Brotherhood Montessori Center, Angeles City, province of Pampanga, for winning the Silver Award in the kindergarten category of the Hong Kong International Mathematical Olympiad.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to adopt House Resolution number 532.
There is a motion to adopt House Resolution 532. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those who are not in favor say nay. The ayes have it. House Resolution 532 is hereby adopted. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, with leave of the House, I move to open the privilege hour.
Any objection? Hearing none, the privilege hour is hereby open. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the lady from ML Party List, the Honorable Laila de Lima, to avail of the privilege hour.
The distinguished and brilliant representative from ML Party List is hereby recognized for a privileged speech, the Honorable Laila M. de Lima.
Oh my God. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Majority Leader, distinguished colleagues, I rise today on a matter of collective privilege. And I speak on behalf of Filipinos whose work takes them far from this chamber into waters where danger has become familiar and protection uncertain. On December 12, 2025, near Escoda or Sabina Shoal, Filipino fishing vessels were harassed by Chinese maritime forces. Tatlong mangingisda po natin ang sinaktan. Sinira ang kanilang mga bangka. These men were fishing inside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, waters that sustain their families and form part of our national patrimony. Para sa mga mangingisda natin na apektuhan ng nasabing insidente, mabilis lang ang mga pangyayari. Pero para sa mga pamilya nila, matagal ang epekto ng panggigipit na ito. Kailangan ng panahon para magpagaling ng mga sugat. Kailangang ayusin ang mga nasirang bangka. Kailangan makahanap ng alternatibong magpakakaitan. Gusto nilang maghanap buhay, pero ngayon kailangan pa nilang mag-isip ng mabuti bago muling pumalaot sa dagat. This incident, along with many similar occurrences in the past, is forming an already alarming pattern in the West Philippine Sea, one shaped by repetition and constant pressure. Hindi na po bago ang ganitong mga balita. Water cannons, aggressive maneuvers, and obstruction of assistance have become familiar features of maritime encounters. Over time, such acts reshape behavior. They make lawful activity feel perilous. They teach restraint through fear, subduing us to docility through relentless bullying. Here, geography is key. Escoda Shoal lies within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. It is a mere 139 kilometers from Palawan. Kasing lapit lang ito ng Tarlac sa Maynila, Ganun po kalapit sa atin. On the other hand, Escoda is 1,100 kilometers away from the nearest Chinese island of Hainan. Under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, coastal states exercise sovereign rights over the use and protection of resources in their EEZ. In 2016, an international arbitral tribunal affirmed Philippines' sovereign rights over its EEZ in clear terms. It clarified maritime entitlements, upheld the rights of Filipino fishermen, and documented environmental harm caused by unlawful activities. That legal framework continues to guide conduct in the region. It remains the standard by which actions are measured. What we confront today is the growing distance between law on paper and the real conditions at sea. Harassment operates as a form of pressure that accumulates over time. Each incident narrows the space for ordinary livelihoods. Each encounter recalibrates expectations about safety and access. The people who bear this weight are not policymakers or diplomats. They are fishermen who judge the weather, the catch, and now the likelihood of confrontation. They are Coast Guard personnel who answer distress calls while navigating increasingly hostile environments. They are coastal communities whose economic survival depends on access to waters that grow harder to reach. This is where the role of the state becomes immediate and tangible. Protection requires presence. Presence requires capability. Capability requires institutional commitment and full government attention. China's actions, harassment, water cannons, ramming, blocking resupply, constitute gray zone coercion, calibrated to avoid open conflict while eroding Philippine control. The Philippine response must be multi-domain, layered, and sustained, not episodic or reactive. This means the Philippine response should encompass 6 major areas: international law, alliance building, strategic information warfare, economic risk management, deterrence capacity building, and maritime enforcement. Aside from invoking the 2016 Arbitral Award, the Philippines must explore additional legal actions, including securing advisory opinions from international legal bodies and coordinated legal filings with other claimant states affected by China's 9-dash line. We must value and be ready to fully operationalize the Mutual Defense Treaty, MDT, with the United States, including clarity that attacks on Philippine public vessels and personnel in WPS trigger MDT provisions. We must expand EDCA site utilization for maritime domain awareness, logistics, and rapid response. We must also strengthen bilateral cooperation with Japan, Australia, and South Korea in terms of joint patrols and interoperability in maritime surveillance and coastal defense. We need to continue the strategy of exposing and broadcasting far and wide China's harassment activities in real time, together and in coordination with allies to ensure message amplification. No rogue action of China should go without notice to the whole world. We must continue to show the international community the unlawful acts being committed on a regular basis by the Chinese Navy and Coast Guard. We should not over-rely on China's economy and its market for our trade and commerce. We should explore and diversify in the Asian markets such as India and call for deeper ASEAN economic integration. China should cease to be our lifeline to world trade as it strangles our maritime trade routes and denies us our rightful use of resources inside our EEZ. Our territorial enemy can no longer be treated as our economic partner. By now, this should already be clear as daylight to our economic managers. We need a paradigm shift in our economic, trade, and investment framework with the goal of reducing strategic relations with China, because China has already made it clear, time and again, that she is not our friend. Instead, She has decided to be our enemy, because only an enemy will endanger the lives of innocent Filipino civilians and deprive them of their rightful livelihood. Finally, we must wake up to the reality that we are a maritime state, and that a maritime state needs a strong navy and coast guard to protect our territorial integrity. Not only are we a maritime state, we are a maritime state with a real enemy claiming, occupying, and invading parts of our waters, and at the same time expelling and harming our citizens from our own territory. This necessitates acceleration of efforts towards the modernization of the Philippine Navy and Air Force, and prioritizing the acquisition of modern and technologically advanced surface and air assets, including submarines and multi-role fighters. That is, of course, for the long term. In the short term, we must sustain regular, visible resupply and patrol operations to Ayungin Shoal and other features. We must shift from episodic missions to regular, routinized, and credible presence, denying China escalation control and removing her domain discretion and prerogatives. We must strengthen the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, as the lead uniformed service by equipping our ships with larger hulls, water cannon parity, and reinforced prows. Likewise, it is time to call in the Navy to fully support the PCG in its mission to guard our coast by defending our citizens who are out there, their lives at risk, because China has decided that Filipino lives are expendable and that bullies can always get away with anything. Nasa mandato po ng Philippine Navy ang pagtatanggol sa ating teritoryo at pangangalaga sa mga Pilipinong nakasalalay ang kabuhayan dito. When civilians are harmed inside our exclusive economic zone, that mandate finds cogency. Defense becomes a matter of execution, not deliberation. I therefore urge this House to support the coordinated deployment of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, particularly the Philippine Navy, alongside the Philippine Coast Guard in areas of the West Philippine Sea where Filipino fishermen and maritime personnel face persistent harassment. Such deployment establishes a protective environment. It shields civilians engaged in lawful activity. It supports Coast Guard operations tasked with rescue and enforcement. Malinaw po na nitong ipakikita sa buong mundo, lalo na sa China, na hindi tayo papayag na basta na lang tapak-tapakan ng karapatan ng ating mga mangingisda. Operating naval assets within our exclusive economic zone affirms sovereign authority over waters that sustain our people. It allows fishermen to return to their work with greater confidence. It reinforces the state's capacity to uphold order and safety at sea. A credible defensive presence also reshapes incentives. It raises the cost of harassment. It disrupts patterns that rely on repetition and asymmetry. It restores balance in maritime interactions that have grown increasingly lopsided. This posture complements diplomatic engagement. Diplomacy gains strength when backed by the demonstrated ability to protect citizens and enforce rights. Across Southeast Asia, states facing similar pressures continue to affirm international law as the governing framework. International partners have voiced concern over coercive conduct and hostile acts in the West Philippine Sea. These efforts depend on 3 C's: consistency, coordination, and courage. At home, the state must stand with fishing and coastal communities in practical ways. Medical assistance must reach the injured. Compensation must address damaged equipment. Livelihood support must reflect the risks that fishermen have been compelled to carry. Protection at sea must be matched by care on shore. Mr. Speaker or Madam Speaker, each incident at sea shapes expectations about the future. Each injury alters how fishermen assess their work. Each damaged boat carries consequences that ripple through families and communities. Sovereignty should be a lived experience for our people through our steady collective assertion and defense. Rights can only be meaningful when they are upheld in daily practice. Protection becomes real when it reaches those who need it most. The West Philippine Sea forms part of our national patrimony. It feeds our people and anchors our maritime future. The Constitution entrusts its defense to the state, acting through its institutions, including this Congress. The moment before us calls for resolve expressed through action. It calls for protection that meets courage at sea with our attention, solidarity, and support. I ask this House, stand with the fishermen who were injured, with the communities that depend on the sea, armed with the conviction that Filipinos should be treated with dignity, their livelihoods deserving of our protection. Hayaan sana nating maitala na nang sinaktan ng ating mga mangingisda at na meligro ang kabuhayan ng ating mga kababayang nakaasa sa ating karagatan, ang kongresong ito ay tumindig at kumilos ng kasama nila. Maraming salamat, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Majority
Thank you.
Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable De Lima to the Committee on Rules for Appropriate Action.
The privileged speech of the Honorable Laila De Lima is hereby referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no other member of the House who wishes to avail the privilege hour, I move to close the privilege hour.
An objection? Hearing none, the privilege hour is hereby terminated. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to consider House Resolution number 551 as contained in Committee Report number 33. And for this purpose, may I request the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the resolution.
An objection? Hearing none, the Secretary General is directed to read the title of House Resolution 551.
House Resolution 551, resolution congratulating and commending Sean Derek Young of Operation Brotherhood Montessori Center, Angeles City, Province of Pampanga, for winning the Silver Award Secondary 1 Group in the Hong Kong International Mathematical Olympiad.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to adopt House Resolution number 551.
There's a motion to adopt House Resolution 551. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those who are not in favor say nay. The ayes have it. House Resolution 551 is hereby adopted. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to suspend session until Monday, December 22, 2025 at 3 o'clock p.m.
Session suspended until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, December 22, 2025.